Nothing.
Well, speaking of that, since you are like the primary producer for today's show, well, you brought in a beautiful woman today.
I did.
So why don't you get to, we'll get off of the sad news in our life and get out of the better news of the 40th Street group.
Obviously, then I'll introduce Cynthia first. We have two guests today, Cynthia Sassi and Mike's
Remember the vodka?
Shaldjian. Is that great?
A good Armenian boy.
How did you know he was Armenian?
Because his name tells it all, and he's part of our Armenian group. I was going to bring that up. I
want to know about the Armenian. Is that also?
It's Bill Papazian.
Do you know Bill Papazian, the attorney?
Mm-hmm. So we all know each other here.
Yeah. Do you Armenians stick together?
No, we're a clan.
Oh, okay.
He knows Armenians and everything Armenian, which is great.
Okay, great. He'll have his own show like Shaws of whatever.
Yeah.
But Cynthia Sassi is here today, and I invited Cynthia for several reasons. And I hate when people just think she's a beautiful face.
You hate it?
Oh, I do, because there's so much to this woman. It's unbelievable at such a young age. And, the beauty, obviously, it's not a bad thing, right, Mike, to see a beautiful woman. And thank goodness she's not blonde, or they would assume she was not as bright as she is.
Beautiful, I'm going to remove this clock here so I can see beautiful Mike over here.
Oh, okay. Well, we also do those shows, too.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
But anyway, okay, we've done those. But, Cynthia, I'd like to just... I know too much about you, so let's hear how you would introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. A little. And then we'll go to Mike and a little about him, and then we'll really get into it. How would you describe yourself if someone said, Cynthia, what do you do? What are you about?
Well, that might be the least favorite question of mine, because I'm always like, how much time do you have? Because I do a lot of different things, but the core of what I do is I have a local website. I have a passion for the local business and the local scene, and so I have a local website where I promote different local businesses, restaurants, salons, shops, and I also have an event calendar on there, so promote a lot of events. I also host events. I do personal promotion and do some marketing for some small local businesses.
That's a good start. That's a very good start. Mike, do you have an opening as nice
I like
as
to
that?
watch.
You're bringing back memories of an old movie.
I am in the broadcast. Actually, I should expand it. I am in the media monitoring business, national media monitoring.
What does media monitoring mean?
We monitor not only television and radio, but internet, print, and social media for public relations, communications, and marketing professionals throughout the nation. We cover all 210 DMAs across the country.
What's a DMA?
That's the market. We have 210 media markets in the country, and it's the rating system. Phoenix is number 11, which is pretty good.
Why are we only number 11 if we're the fifth largest city or fourth or fifth largest city? Why are we only number 11 as a market?
That's a very good question. I will look that up and get back to you.
Okay.
New York is number 1. Chicago is number 3. LA is number 2, obviously. So we're creeping into the top 10. We were number 12 last year, so we're getting closer, Bob. Hang in there. You can ask for a raise.
Maybe it's because well, thank you. Maybe it's because we only have basically we have so many part-time residents. I wonder if that's part of the reason.
Well, that could be. Yeah, our population certainly swells during the winter months, and then we turn into a ghost town in the summer.
So before you have to go to a commercial break somewhere in the next few minutes, why do people hire you for
many reasons.
Monitor things?
Mostly our main clientele is public relations, internal and external PR people, corporate communications. They use us as a source to track their media exposure, their media efforts on behalf of their client or their corporation.
Things like that?
Correct, because none of us can watch television, listen to radio, and read newspapers across the entire country. So
They use companies like mine. Non-stop busy thing for you guys.
So, the news never stops, so we are always going.
Are you? Do you have a lot of people working for you then to do this?
We have about 15 people in our corporate office in Chicago and a couple here in Phoenix, including myself, obviously. Mm-hmm. And we have satellite offices throughout 42 other states. So we have a huge support group, and we record over 1 million hours worth of television alone every year.
So how do you 15, a couple of, they're all monitoring nonstop to see when your customers' names are being mentioned or when their commercial being run and things like that?
Back in the old days, going back 17 years ago when I first got into the industry, that was pretty much how it was done. Today's technology allows us to...
once the name is there, the computer recognizes it or something like that?
We do it two ways. We do take, for television, we take what's called line 22 from the broadcast. It's the closed captioning, and that gets fed into our database. It parses. So we have accounts set up for clients using keywords. So when one of their keywords matches the closed caption text, it goes into a folder for our clients, and they get daily reports. From the reports, they could actually preview the news segment or listen to the radio segment that aired or look at the web hit or the print publication file. And from there, they can order a copy of the clip if they need to have a copy.
Here comes that music.
We've got to go to
commercial break. There's a lot here, and I want to use Cynthia as an example. We'll be back in just a moment right after. Hey, welcome back to KFNX 1100. This is Cathy Droz along with the founder, Bob Fishman, and our guest today, Michael Shaldjian. And I'm going to say a real thank you.
These are good.
And Cynthia Sassi. That only took me 7 weeks to get.
Sassi and Shaldjian sounds like a comedy act.
Oh, my gosh. That would work. But welcome back. And we were just having a great conversation here with Mike, talking about the monitoring that he does. And both of us, Bob, have questions, even though I've used Mike's services in the past.
You have? Huh?
I have, and I wanted to explain how I did. The TV stations, correct me if I'm wrong, do not allow you to tape, and Cynthia, you would know this because you do so much television. So if Channel 5, Cynthia appears on Channel 5, does a segment, Channel 5 will not give her a copy of that segment.
Why? Why is that?
Ask Mike.
Why is that, Mike?
The stations don't have the time or energy to support all the requests they get.
It's not like they're protecting the material. It's just
they are also the copyright holders. So we provide our services for internal research purposes only.
Okay. Keep going, Kat.
Wink. So with that, you call an independent service like Mike, and you say, hey, Cynthia was just on Channel 5. It was on Tuesday at 2:30.
So he can provide that?
He provides it with an open and a close, which really I do like about it. So it's very, very nice. It's ready to go. An open and a close.
So it becomes something you can use.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And you pay X amount of dollars, and anywhere between probably $90 to $110, let's say.
For a film.
For it. Then you can use it your way. Now, with the Internet, and I haven't used your services in a while, what stops someone from Cynthia, who's been on so much television? Can someone be filming the segment on their phone and putting it up?
Sure,
what's credible, what isn't?
Well,
and then
depends on the quality you're looking for. I mean, I've seen on some professional business websites just what you're saying, and it just doesn't look really good if you record it from your phone.
So let me ask
Cynthia. Go ahead.
I was going to ask Cynthia. So Cynthia, something like what Mike just described, are you at a different level where you can't afford his services, or are you somebody who does use services like Mike's?
Well, I don't do PR specifically, so I probably wouldn't fall in the realm of his typical, client.
But you're promoting events and you're promoting
herself.
So any news segments I've ever done, they have posted the segment on their website, on the internet. So I've been able to just grab, it off of there. but they may not always offer an option that you can post on a website, but you can definitely share it on social media. You just share the link of, the segment that they have on their website.
Like one day, would you hope to be big enough or whatever it is? Obviously, you're doing local things. Would you hope to, from what you're hearing from Mike, would that be something that would be of interest to you in what you're doing, or is it something totally different from the scope of what you're doing?
Yeah, I would definitely say so, because if you're looking for segments that you want to post on your website, I'm all about quality. And I mean, if you don't want to put some bootleg version of something on your website, it just doesn't look very credible.
So who becomes your primary customer?
Depends on which part of my business you're talking about.
Okay, define your different businesses then.
Well, FabulousArizona.com, I have advertisers on there. So those are, businesses that are looking to, advertise and reach, clients through Fabulous Arizona. A really major growing trend in that area, though, is personal promotion, which has become a huge thing for me just because I've networked so well in town. A lot of people pay me to personally promote things, whether that be hosting an event or sharing something on my social media. That's definitely a growing trend.
You have tons and tons and tons of followers? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not so much the number of followers I have, but more the quality and how influenced
You're one of the first persons I've ever heard break it down just like that, because people like to talk about, you got to have massive numbers, and if you have massive numbers, then you can sell it to advertisers. So you're one of the first persons I've heard to say it doesn't matter about the numbers so much as the quality. Right.
And I think people over time are starting to understand that, especially with the ability for people to buy followers these days. They can be completely fake accounts. But unfortunately, on the national level, you do have some businesses that say you have to have at least 10,000 followers, and, you could go buy those and they wouldn't know.
Now, I know you've got a lot of different aspects to who and what you are, but how did you get started in this? What led you into this path?
Randomly got an internship the senior year of college.
Where
at sheknows.com, which is at the time.
Heard of She Knows, but what college were you? ASU?
I went to ASU,
okay.
Yeah. And had no idea what I was going to do. I had a marketing degree. So many options with that. So that kind of set the trajectory in the internet marketing realm. And then I worked for a local publication for a bit, which, that's where the local passion came in. And I kind of just married the two. And that's how Fabulous Arizona was born.
And Bob, Fabulous Arizona, and I know you are not internet savvy, nor do you even like to plug it in.
You mean like when Mike asked me my Twitter account and I laughed?
And you started twitching? Yeah, I remember that because you thought he said twitching account. And but Fabulous Arizona would be a site. It's very attractive, very professional looking. It's not cluttered. But if you want to know about a restaurant,
new restaurant,
a spa, and I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, Cynthia, she's more involved in the what part of Scottsdale? Downtown? What do we call it?
Old Town.
Well, Old Town.
Which is really coming alive, isn't it?
Right, definitely.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many great new restaurants going in down there, and a lot of locally owned businesses down there. But I am expanding throughout the entire valley, as I get the resources to do so. Obviously, starting out, it was just easier for me to do the things that were close to me in proximity. But now I have a team of writers across the valley that are able to help cover, the East Valley, the West Valley, stuff like that.
So, Mike, as you listen to something like Cynthia here describing what she's doing, my guess is that you're already thinking about how your business would speed up her processes or her profitability or something, right? Or service her in some way or other, even if it's just on a local basis.
Well, it's funny that you bring this up because there are a couple of things that I want to point out. Although with technology the last 5 to 10 years, with content being actually uploaded to station websites, a lot more where you could just grab that URL like Cynthia was saying, and you can send it out in a tweet, you can put it on a Facebook page. One of the problems for a lot of people is that content isn't kept on that website forever. Sometimes it's gone in 2 weeks, sometimes it's gone in a year.
Good point.
Also, they only put about 30% of the content on their website. So quite often people will call our company and say, I can't find it on KPHO's website. How come? Why don't you put it up? And it's like,
can you recapture it then? If
we record.
You record
everything that airs everywhere, including all cable and
so you
network.
have it forever if you want.
We archive it forever, correct? Which is another good point because we do a lot of business with attorneys across the country as well. When they have a major lawsuit that they're handling, maybe it was a semi-truck for a corporation had a horrible accident.
How did you realize that was an area to branch off into the legal side of this type of thing? What was the trigger to say that's a new area for us?
Because we'd get a lot of requests from defense attorneys, litigation attorneys.
And what were they looking for?
And they were looking for news clips going back anywhere from 6 months to 2-3 years.
They could use in court or something like that?
Correct. Okay. Because back in the day, companies like ours, we would only archive maybe 30, 60 days. We figure it's old news after that. No one's going to want it. But then I realized early on, and I was one of the first companies across the country that understood the importance of archiving indefinitely. Because we've also done a lot of business with documentary filmmakers. I provided all of the archival clips for Michael Moore's Capitalism, a Love Story. So we've worked
Mike,
with.
You've really expanded this business.
We've got another commercial break coming up in just a few seconds. Yeah, unfortunately, but we will get back to our great guests, Mike Shaldjian and Cynthia Sassi. We are the 40th Street Group. I'm Bob Fishman, along with Cathy Droz. I am fascinated by the connections and cross connections and possibly new connections.
I knew
that are
you
developing
would
in the studio.
be.
Yeah, you know, like I say, it's always a glorious day in Arizona. So we'll be back right after these commercial breaks.
Hey, welcome back. And just in case Mike's company's monitoring us today, it's Bob Fishman.
You got me on that one.
And
funny.
Cathy Droz.
We're being monitored by Mike.
We could be. It's kind of like that old, book. Oh, 1984. It's way past that.
I was thinking about two high heels making me look stupid. That old book.
I was thinking in 1960 I had to read 1984 and thought it was just bizarre. And here we are.
Far in the future.
Oh my gosh, that's.
By the way, how do these high heels make me look stupid in the last couple of weeks?
Check with Cynthia. She knows more than I do. You know what? Everything's good. Cynthia and I are redoing a couple of things, and it's going to be great. We're doing great.
All right, good. I'm glad to hear it.
Thank
I'm always
you.
Looking for the update.
They may not be stupid in another
Cynthia,
couple of weeks.
Tell me about what's your involvement with Cathy's book and Cathy's business. What's your involvement with her automotive journeys and her book, which has been titled "Do These High Heels Make Me Look Stupid?" But apparently, there's what do you call it?
A alternate title, a possible other title.
Yeah, like
title.
The group you went to that said the panel group you went to that said change the stupid to something else.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Cynthia, tell me about what your role is with Cathy.
Oh, it's constantly evolving, but I'm definitely helping her on the technical side of things. So social media, marketing, the website, stuff like that.
And you're very expensive, so Cathy's making lots of money to be able to do this, right?
She should be very expensive. I have a smoking deal, but once I'm successful, she will also benefit from that. That's for sure.
So why are you breaking through the clutter? Everybody thinks they're doing what you're doing. Everybody thinks they're doing it. Everybody thinks they're a super networker. Everybody thinks they're major this, major that. So why are you making the breakthrough that everybody thinks they're going to use the internet to be an internet genius? Why are you the one that's making breakthroughs? Well,
I think, for one, intention to grow into this personal brand the way I did. In the process of me trying to make Fabulous Arizona a brand that everybody knows locally, I was showing up at every event in town. I didn't know anybody. So I just went to these events, handed out my business cards, and through that, it was kind of like, wow, Cynthia's everywhere. She knows all the hottest events going on, all the best new restaurants. And so in trying to push Fabulous Arizona, I've kind of become a personal brand in myself. So I think the fact that it was very unintentional and very genuine is kind of how I've grown this kind of loyal, following that is really, interested in what is Cynthia doing, because, that's what I need to go check out, because it is very genuine, the stuff that I post.
It's really. I know you're looking like what?
Say what? I think does your day start at 4 PM because you're going to events all the time, or what?
No, actually, I just don't sleep. So
she
literally,
doesn't sleep.
I mean,
There's
when people see me,
emails.
when people see me, they'll be like, "Do you sleep?" Because that's, so much of my life is documented on social media, so people know what I'm doing.
How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I just turned 30.
Okay, well, and you're not burnt out, obviously.
I've been doing this kind of nonstop thing for about 4 years now, and so I'm trying to use my personal pop now to grow Fabulous Arizona, because that's a brand that can be sustained with other team members. Because I know realistically I'm not going to be running around town like this forever.
Are you a one-person business at this point?
Yes, I have a lot of freelancers, contract people out. My accountant highly advises that I hold off on hiring people as long as I can.
I think that's smart. I think it's a great way to until the next step is economically the right step. I think you're absolutely right.
Right.
So, Bob and Mike, just in case, and I know that this is territory that you're not familiar with. Mike certainly is from he's probably social media along with Cynthia.
That's actually how we met. I think maybe via Twitter or something.
Okay. Yep. Well, there's a whole other social that you and I don't know about. We still go face to face and have coffee. Cynthia does. It's amazing what she does, but in becoming a brand herself, you will get a notice that she's speaking somewhere. You will get a notice that Cynthia is endorsing a product. So she has a tremendous future, but like all of us, to promote yourself is sometimes difficult. She's very modest. In fact, Cynthia, tell the audience some of the titles that you have been you were in. What magazine were you featured as the go-to woman? Tell us all that stuff, and don't be modest. Tell us all this past year in particular.
I've been featured in a lot of different stuff. I probably am most known in town as being single. I think I've been featured in like 3 different most eligible, lists in town.
And you're still eligible?
I am, yes. And I've been auctioned off for charity 3 times.
3 times.
The 4th time will actually be on June 12th for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So that's probably what I'm most known for, just because, everyone's like, gosh, Cynthia's so, she runs her own business and all this.
Your biggest values is that you're always available for auction?
I will say, though, that being single has definitely given me the ability to put a lot of time into my business. Obviously, if I was in a relationship, I probably wouldn't be at every event every night of the week and, stuff like that. So it definitely, I have to say, it probably has helped my brand.
I used to go to lots and lots and lots of stuff, but there became a time where it was draining. Have you?
Oh gosh, it's so draining. Okay. There will be days. I'll go 2 weeks at a time, and then I'll crash and not want to talk to anybody for 3 days.
But if you've got an event that's the next morning, you still have to go, right?
Yeah, you just do
and
it.
She's always personable. But what I like about Cynthia is that, I don't know how to explain it. The event that you were raising. Explain to them the event that I went to, raising money for lymphoma. That. I don't want to say it's a competition, but it's a very different way of raising funds. I think Mike and Bob, you'd be interested in this.
Well, I'm currently one of the candidates for Man and Women of the Year. So essentially,
for what?
For the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
And that's not a Bruce Jenner comment. She's the woman. Okay, go ahead. It's not man, woman yet.
So there's a handful of men and a handful of women separately competing for Man and Women of the Year, and it's a very clever campaign that the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society has come up with. Let's handpick a bunch of Type A personalities to compete against each other to raise the most money. It's very smart.
Very smart.
So it's basically a 10-week-long fundraising campaign, and so we come up with just different creative ways to raise a lot of money, and each dollar counts as a vote. I don't know if they say it that way so that it sounds a little nicer than just saying whoever raises the most money wins, but the finale event is June 12th, and we have an opportunity to raise more money there as well, and that's when the Man and Women will be revealed.
Let me ask one other quick question in terms of the business side of you, and I want to get back to Mike here in a second, but you've been doing this how many years now?
But
Fabulous Arizona,
4 to 5 years.
4 or 5 years, okay. And you do you feel like you've successfully monetized what you're doing, or are you still in the process of that, or what?
I'm still in the process of figuring that out. I went full-time self-employed about 7 months ago, and today, as opposed to 6 months ago, is night and day. It's been such a learning experience.
And so before you were working other jobs in addition to that?
Yes. So in the process of growing my business, I maintained a full-time job, to pay the bills.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And so the reason I asked that is that I think it is this economy. Everybody's got to figure out how to make their breakthrough. I was on the phone a couple of days ago with some people in our Power Women's group, as we're calling it, and it still stuns me that doing what you're doing, Cynthia. There's so many people afraid of branching off on their own because it is very hard.
It's hard.
It's very hard.
It is the hardest thing I've ever done.
It takes a ferocious effort to break through. It takes forever to make the breakthrough. And so when anybody does make the breakthrough, they should be very proud of themselves because it's a very hard economy and most people go for the security of bureaucratic employment or whatever.
Yeah.
But the economy is a new economy, and so there isn't that much of it left. Mike, I don't know if we have time in this segment. I think we're going to run out of time here, but we're going to get some contact information.
Yes.
We want to let our audience know how to get a hold of you, why they'd want to get a hold of each one of you, and I think we're just about to go to break, so we got 1 minute left. So Cynthia, real quick, why don't you give us some contact information, okay?
Sure. My company is Sassi Media LLC, playing off of my last name, Sassi, because it's really fun. So why wouldn't you use that?
S-A-S-S-I. Okay.
Yes. So it's like somebody's being sassy, but an I instead of a Y.
Okay.
So SassiMediaLLC.com is my overarching business, and then FabulousArizona.com is the local website. And I guess, you can Google Cynthia Sassi and you'll find me all over the place.
That's true.
But if you want an email address, that would be cynthia.sassy@me.com.
And I think we'll get Mike's information right after the commercial break. We are the 40th Street Group. Bob Fishman along with Cathy Droz. We've got Cynthia Sassi, spelled with an I, and Mike Shaldjian, there we got it. Just like vodka gin, right?
Piece of cake.
We're gonna get to some Armenia after the break. Just stay with us. We are back with the 40th Street Group, our last segment for this June 7th. Oh my gosh, we're flying through the summer. Again, Cathy, you and I have to run off to a wonderful tribute to a good friend right after the show is over. But Russell's been a great... it's hard for me to believe that at a young age that he's no longer with us. But I spoke to our other friend Olivier just a couple days ago.
Oh, good.
That we'll probably be seeing a little bit later today. So,
okay, good.
Yeah, which is great. Olivier is the fourth original member of the 40th Street Group. We started out sort of like Cynthia. We started out about 14 years ago, something like that, as just a group of. Actually, it started out with me and Cathy, and then we added Russell and Olivier, and gradually evolved into the 40th Street Group. The radio.
Can I just mention that Russell and Olivier went on to become millionaires, and you and I are still here doing this. So I don't know. The Beatles also were four that did very well. Where did we go wrong?
Olivier's out in California building architecture around the world, and here we are. We're still here.
Okay.
We're still here networking or something like that, right?
From Dubai. Just built another hotel.
I was going to get to
produced
Mike.
A film.
We got Mike Shaldjian. You always get me distracted. Mike Shaldjian and Cynthia Sassi here with us in the studio. We could do a whole show by ourselves one of these days. One of these days we're going to have to when our guests don't show up.
Nobody wants to be
exactly. Here. But Mike, get us your contact information before we forget that. Tell us a little bit about how people get in touch with you.
Sure.
Okay.
Again, we're a pretty boutique business, catering mostly to public relations, marketing, and communications professionals.
What's it called?
Media monkeybiz, and you can go to MediaMonkeybiz.com for all of our information. And again, we are a national media monitoring, archiving, and clipping service.
And what is your official role there?
I am the National Business Development Manager.
Okay. So, and right now you said you have offices here and in Chicago?
We have main offices in Phoenix and Chicago, corporate offices in Chicago, and we have satellite offices throughout the United States. And you asked during the break, I believe, whether or not I was the owner, and I'll give you the quick story about that. 10 years ago, I left another national media monitoring company to start my own business, which was MediaWatchAZ. And we had a very successful run for 9 years. I got burnt out at the end of the 9 years, which was just last summer, and decided that I needed something different. And so I sold the business to my good friend and Chicago affiliate, David Lasker at Media monkeybiz, the end of December. And I took 4 months off. And
so now you're back
had
doing
a
the same
wonderful
thing,
time.
basically, after the 4 months?
Yeah, he called me the end of April, and he said, are you bored yet?
Wow. He needed you.
And I said, well, I'm not necessarily bored, but I got some time. So we decided that I would be the business development manager.
How do you prevent the burnout this time around?
Well, my responsibilities have really shrunk.
Good.
There's a big difference in developing new business as opposed to running your own business.
Very good. Good choice.
So
is this advice to Cynthia?
No, I think Cynthia's got 27 years more to get to my point.
Oh, okay.
I don't see Cynthia burning out too quickly.
No.
From everything I see on Twitter and Instagram, she's holding up really well. In fact, I want to know, Cynthia, how do we donate, or I should say, vote, to help you out for the June 12th event?
I actually have set up CynthiaSassi.com to redirect to my fundraising page. So you can actually go to CynthiaSassi.com, and that's Sassy with an I, not a Y. And you can make a donation straight through there.
And what's the deadline on that?
The donations close June 11th.
So that's about 4 days from now.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the finale event, if you'd like to attend that's June 12th, so this Friday, and that starts at 5:30 p.m. at Talking Stick Resort. And if you'd like to purchase tickets for that, you can do that on that same fundraising page.
Crowned with the Queen head, is that? Or
I'm going
whatever
to
the
it.
Woman of
I
the
hope
Year
so.
head, or whatever they.
We got to get her more money.
I don't. Yeah, I definitely need to raise some more money if I'm going to win. But I'm auctioning myself off again as the live auction item. And so if people want to pay,
how long are these? Let's do it. Has any
She
of these
works
auctions?
out constantly.
You're not married, obviously, yet, which is probably your choice.
Yeah.
So whenever these people win you, do you ever get bid on and you think, oh my God, how am I going to get through this night?
Well, I like, with what I do for a living, I like to say, I could talk to a tree. So, I mean, there have been a few rough ones, but all in all, it's always, they're always really nice people. It's always a good experience. The only, worry is, of course, if you're not interested in them and they are genuinely interested in you. But, we always make the best of it, and it's always a good time.
Kathy has that problem all the time. People are always interested in Kathy, and she's not interested in them.
Oh, yeah.
And she is married. She is married, and poor Manny,
Problem, but now everybody calls me ma'am, or I like the ones that go, oh, well, you remind me so much of my grandmother. And the person's like in their 30s, the guy. I'm like, okay, I'm all right. I hang with Cynthia, and they think I'm her mom, and that's fine.
You're a wing woman, right?
Yeah.
Before the show runs out, Mike, I want to just bring back the fact.
Are you being auctioned off, Mike?
Yeah,
no.
really.
Not anytime soon, but if you have any, ideas, we're open for it.
And you are past your.
I'm past my auctioning
burnout.
days.
Yes. You're auctionable again, right?
An antique, so maybe an antique auction. How's that?
I can picture who'd bid on Mike. We'd have 70-year-old women that just want to go back to a handsome past.
Well, you know what? If their bank accounts are big enough, I'm open to that.
Oh my
we need
gosh.
Tom Woodward here for.
And tomorrow's my birthday, by the way, June 8th. So
Happy
birthday!
Thank you.
Speaking of birthdays, you come from the larger Armenian community that filters in and around Arizona and Los Angeles, and we were talking about that a little bit off the air. What is it about the Armenian population that they seem to thrive? You don't hear Armenian jail stories; you hear Armenian success stories. So, what is it about the Armenian community that makes them so successful?
Well, I'm sure most of your listeners are aware because it was a very big event. April 24th marked our 100-year centennial of the Armenian genocide, where upwards of 1.5 million Armenians were killed and driven into the desert and away from our homeland. The ones that were fortunate enough to survive spread out to different areas in Central Asia, and we eventually migrated places like Canada, the United States.
Do you think that's the driving, that you have an obligation to the people who didn't make it? Is that part of what drives you guys, do you think? Or what?
That's a big part. Most Armenians are extremely proud of our heritage, our culture, very respectful of those that we did lose. Sadly enough, a lot of our family histories don't go back any further to the early 1900s. I'm second generation here in the United States. My grandparents came from the old country, where both sides of my grandparents, their families were massacred, and they fled Armenia with other families and ended up here and in Ontario, Canada.
Cathy, we've got another show in about 2 weeks that we have to see if we can get Cynthia
invite them back?
I think we should.
If they come back.
A lot more ground to cover.
I want to hear more.
One of our good friends, Bill Papazian, who's been a guest on the show and is co-hosted with us, he's also a member of the Armenian community. Father Zachariah Sarabekian from, I think, the St. Opkar Church up in North Scottsdale, if I'm not mistaken. Great people, great community. Thank you to Robert Baum back in the studio. Thank you to Cynthia and Mike for joining us here today. I'm Bob Fishman along with Cathy Droz. We are the 40th Street Group. And once again, just thank you, Russell, for being a friend to us for so long and for the wonderful life that you gave to the community. And we miss you. And we'll see you next week with the Young Reporters and in 2 weeks with the 40th Street Group.